Hello everyone and welcome to another very nice game from the Speed Chess Championship semifinals. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave versus Magnus Carlsen. We've already seen one game and this one is from the bullet section. So Magnus won both blitz sections, the 5+1 and the 3+1 blitz sections. Only in 3+1 Maxime was very close to actually tying that time control, but now this is bullet. It's 1+1, so it's not like it's a real bullet. 1+1 is like infinite time for these guys, so it's actually a top level game, except for the part where Maxime directly disrespects Magnus as he plays a line that everyone knows is bad. Like, you guys know this line is bad, and if you've ever tried it, you know you will get completely crushed. But he just couldn't get any wins. I mean, he did get some wins, but he just couldn't get on any sort of a streak that would enable him to tie the match, so he had to resort to this. So let's check it out. Maxime has the white pieces and he opens with e4. We have e5 by Magnus, d4 now. Going for the central game, and if white does not pick up the pawn, then it's sort of a central gambit. E captures on d4, and now knight to f3, the Kiesertsky variation. Knight to c6, and now bishop to c4, the so-called Scotch gambit. We have knight to f6, and now pawn to e5. And this has been one of my favorite things to play when I first started the learning openings and when I started learning chess. But I soon realized that if black just plays d5, black is perfectly fine. Not just perfectly fine, black is even better. And that is, of course, what Magnus plays. Now, this isn't the weird part. The weird part is what happens next. Here your bishop is attacked, and best for you to do here is just play bishop to b5. And this is how every top level game goes. Bishop to e5, knight to e4, knight captures on d4, you put pressure on c6, bishop d7, captures, and then white castles, and black continues with developing the bishop, or maybe c5 or something like that. So what else could you do? You could play e captures on d6 en passant, but then just bishop captures on d6, and it's actually black who's up in development. White sacrifice material, but it's black who's up in development. So this isn't, again, something you want to do. And of course, the pawn cannot be captured, because if you do this, then you will blunder your queen. Bishop b4 check picks up the queen now on d4. So instead, after this d5 move, we have e captures on f6. And this is the move that I was talking about. Everyone knows this is bad. Maxime knows this is bad. Magnus knows this is bad, but he tried everything else, so he will now try this. And okay, let's see. Magnus knows it's bad, but does he really know how to punish it by heart, or will he have to solve it in bullet time control? D captures on c4, of course you will win back the piece. Castles by Maxime, and now g captures on f6. This is better than queen captures, especially in such a quick game, because now bishop to g5, rook to e1, it all looks very scary for black, even though it's still fine. Like queen f5, you're gonna play rook e1 check, bishop to e6, you're gonna block this, and everything is okay. But okay, after castles, g captures on f6, and now bishop to f4, still waiting with that rook to e1 move. As you know from experience, it doesn't really do all that much. Bishop to e6, and now comes rook to e1. Interestingly, we're still in known territory. The position has been reached in the 1999 Under 15 Girls Championship of Morava between players named Zuzana Borosova and Barbora Zavadilova, and the game ended. I have no idea how the game ended, but I will check. I don't want to trick you guys. Just give me a second. Yeah, black won the game. But in this game, knight b to d2 was not played. Here we have rook to e1. Finally, Maxime plays this, and it is now as of move 9 that we have a completely new game. Queen to d7, Magnus prepares the castle queenside, which makes sense. You have the semi-open g file. You want to use this for attack. c3, and now Magnus doesn't even want to advance the pawn to d3. Rather, he starts by castling queenside. And okay, Magnus castled, and now c captures on d4. We have knight captures on d4, and now knight to c3. You don't really gain anything by capturing, because Magnus would very gladly trade queens here. He's up 2 pawns, so any trade goes his way. So knight to c3, we have rook to g8 by Magnus, and now bishop to g3, closing off the g file. And now it seems like you might be actually in business, but it all really depends. And Magnus should continue continue with something like knight to f5 or c5 or f5, but he plays pawn to h5, and he gives Maxime this tiny bit of hope of re-entering the game, but Maxime misses it. He was, I believe, just looking for this very nice fork that he completely missed, that the queen can capture the h5 pawn, because if you capture on d4, now captures, the pawn is free, and you get rid of the h pawn. You don't have to worry about all that much. The bishop is now extremely safe, and Magnus would only be up one pawn in a very, very tough position to win. But okay, sorry about that, but okay, after h5 we have knight to e4, going after this f6 pawn, and now bishop to e7. But now it's much different, because after knight captures on d4, which was played, and queen captures on d4, there is no queen captures on h5. Now if Maxime goes for this, Magnus will just pick up the b2 pawn, and the passed c pawn now becomes too strong. This was impossible as long as the knight was on c3. But here, queen to e2, now comes pawn to f5, challenging the knight, knight to c3, and now pawn to h4, challenging this bishop. And here Maxime played bishop captures on c7, which is a great move, but Magnus's position is now completely winning. So feel free to pause the video and win the game for Magnus while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on not taking the bishop. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is queen to g7. This is what Magnus played, and he was in this position on move 18 that Maxime Vachier-Lagrave resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. Of course, you can't capture the bishop, because then knight to b5 check wins the queen, and then white is just completely winning. But after queen to g7, there's no defense. Checkmate is being threatened, and also your bishop is lost. And even if you play g3, black can even play h captures on g3 and pick up the bishop next. And even if bishop captures on g3, there's still f4, so there is no way for you to save this. So of course Maxime knew this, and that's why he resigned the game. Now, very nicely done by Magnus. For those of you who are interested in the final standings, these are the standings. So in 5+1, Magnus won 6.5 to 2.5. Then in 3+1, Magnus won 5 to 4. It was very, very tough. I think the first like 4 or 5 games, or maybe even 6 games, started with draws before Magnus won the first 2 games, and then the 1+1 bullet section ended by 5.5 to 2.5. Again, Magnus winning, leaving the final score at 17 to 9. So that's absolutely incredible, and we all know what that means. Morpheus is fighting Neo. Magnus will be facing Hikaru Nakamura in the finals of the Speed Chess Championship, and well, that's gonna be incredible to watch. I'm looking very much forward to it. I think it's bad news for those of you who are following the football championship, as it's the exact same time as the World Football Championship. Both of them start at 8 p.m. Central European Time. So you're gonna have to, or I mean, you can watch both of them simultaneously. That's, I mean, what normal people do. But okay. That being said, hope you guys enjoyed that as well. And you can see that Magnus said, I think none of us showed anything close to our best level in the semifinals, so whoever can step up for the final will probably have good chances. Saying that, even though both he and Hikaru pretty much completely crushed their opponents, it's not really the best that they have to offer. So I mean, this is going to be an absolutely incredible finals. It's the one that everyone's been waiting for, so let's all enjoy it. That's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to thank Sapan Bhatia, Sarah Hamilton, Jonathan Hirschi, Klotzbox, and Gaurav Bala for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions, and of course covering the finals of this spectacular event. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.